If the state of Illinois doesn't address the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program error rate, you could see Illinois taxpayers paying $700 to $800 million in penalties to the federal government, and the alarms are raising. Good morning, it's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. I'm with you each and every weekday morning at 8 o'clock. You can join us for the live show where we tackle different things all throughout, but of course you can subscribe and get the latest segments here for Illinois in Focus Daily. And don't forget to get the podcast where you get podcasts to catch the show in its entirety without interruption. All right, let's tackle this next story here. As the Trump administration came in saying that they're going to put a big, beautiful bill together, get Congress to pass it. It took several months, but ultimately President Donald Trump got it across both the House and Senate finish lines and signed that piece of legislation July 4th. Had a whole bunch of stuff in it, right? I mean, it is a, quote, big, beautiful bill. Democrats call it a big, ugly bill because it does things like, for instance, addresses subsidies for different types of areas, be it energy, be it food, and it also extended tax cuts that the previous Trump administration got across, making those permanent, brought about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, whole host of things, right? One thing it did was it shored up the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program funding and says that if states don't have an error rate under 6%, then they're going to have to pay a penalty. Well, that means that penalty could come from the state taxpayer dollars. And in a state like Illinois, you know, we've got legacy debt of pensions that the state says is about $140 billion, but ratings agencies say it's $300 billion. So, you know, you've got the budget crunch every year while the state continues to spend more money at a pretty significant rate. I mean, it's almost doubled over the past 7 years and has actually more than doubled in the past 12 years in how much the state spends every year. We're talking the numbers that I've crunched from the past 12 years. The state of Illinois has spent $100 billion more every year from 2020, the current budget, to back 12, 13, 14 years ago. Regardless, Illinois spending continues to go up. So it's probably going to go up even more if the state can't get its Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program error rate down. I talked with House Minority Leader Tony McCombie earlier this week about the error rate, and she's raising the alarm about where this is headed. Here is House Minority Leader Tony McCombie.
Yeah, and for the viewers that aren't living in our world, the error rate is the overpayments in SNAP, which is the larger part of the error rate, and then underpayments, which is pretty minimal on that. The concern that I have is rather than address the SNAP error rate, the governor is just willing to burn it down and blame it on Trump and say, well, he's the one who's cutting SNAP. Well, you're the one who has brought it into mismanagement. When Governor Pritzker came into office, the error rate was 5.73%, which is under the 6% that the federal government is going to be requiring. Now, under J.B. Pritzker's administration, it's at 11.56, and this could end up costing Illinoisans $700 to $800 million. Even if we went on an average, that would get us to 7.1%. I mean, we have to do something. By just not addressing it is literally going to take food out of our most vulnerable's mouths. So we have to address this. The governor has to address this, put aside his political attack on Trump saying he's cutting SNAP, gaslighting, scaring people, inciting anxiety, and handle the issue at hand. This is all on him, and certainly not the first example of agency mismanagement.
And again, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars the state's taxpayers could be on the hook for to cover that error rate. And the error rate, as McCombie said, includes the underpayments, people who didn't get paid enough, and the overpayments, people who got paid too much. And the people who got paid too much is the vast majority of the state's error rate. So a lot to be said about how to do that. And there was a House hearing not long ago of the U.S. House that was delving into this. And you can find that story at the Center Square as well, where U.S. Representative Mary Miller talked about getting the error rate down and having, a one state in particular that was being upheld as a beacon of doing it right and trying to get the error rate down and doing more with less. And you've got that ongoing effort. But in Illinois, you've got Democratic leaders who have been saying all Trump is wanting to do is to take food away from those who need it most in order to give tax cuts to the wealthy. That's according to multiple statements that Governor J.B. Pritzker has made in reference to President Donald Trump's policies of tax cuts and shoring up federal agencies. So McCombie says, this is just an ongoing issue of poor mismanagement by the Pritzker administration, as she highlights the SNAP error rate's gone up quite a bit during the Pritzker administration. And she says that it's indicative of other instances of failed management, and one in particular was the Illinois Department of Employment Security during COVID, where you had $3 billion go out to fraudsters. And again, that's tax dollars going out to fraudsters during the height of the pandemic. And the state of Illinois manages that employment system, just as the state of Illinois, even though it's federally funded, manages the SNAP program. But even the policies that the Trump administration enacted that Congress passed, again, law that is now law of the land, states are going to have to pick up some of the administrative costs of administrating the SNAP program. So that is going to cost all states millions and millions of dollars, if not more, every year to do that. But again, it's also this idea of the error rate. If it's not below 6%, states are going to have to pay the difference. And Illinois is sitting right at about 11.56%. So you've got to see that difference in the possibility it could be $700 to $800 million. Where's this money going? Here's McCombie answering whether or not there's just a lot of fraud.
Well, I think certainly we've seen already under this administration $5.2 billion, $5.2 billion in fraudulent unemployment claims. So yeah, certainly there's a possibility of that for the overpayments. It is not. We are not to be giving federal SNAP dollars to illegal immigrants, but we don't ask if they're legal. So is there an overpayment there? I don't know. But this is where we need to dig in, and this is where the administration needs to ask for help. He needs to empower his agency to say, hey, you know what? This error rate is well above the normal, and it's drastically increased under my administration, and we need to fix it. He needs to do that with his agency. He needs to empower them to do better.
We've seen a roundtable discussion that Pritzker held not too long ago, and you can find the video in the archive of this show where we unpacked some of that. But they talked again about the people who are going to be impacted by this, and the new authorizations and the qualifications of who is eligible for this safety net program, right? I mean, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program is to ensure that those who are of lesser means can have some food subsidies. Yeah, there's a lot of requirements you got to go through. You got to, prove either you don't have a job or you're looking for a job, or you're volunteering a certain number of hours a week, or if you're, disabled. And then there's a process of checking all of that and the qualifications. But again, another qualification being you can't be an illegal alien and get your food subsidies. And that's something that Congresswoman Mary Miller helped get into the big, beautiful bill. And we talked with her yesterday about that. And here's some of what she said is just an effort to try to get local and state officials to shore up their administration of tax dollars.
J.B. Pritzker is a failed governor, and we have so much fraud and corruption in that program, but I'm very proud that my provision got included, and that is that if you are not an American citizen, you cannot be participating in SNAP benefits for one thing, or Medicaid for that, which J.B. Pritzker has rolled out the red carpet for that. He is giving them every benefit that should be afforded only to American citizens. But The other thing he's doing is issuing driver's licenses to illegals in Illinois. And I've got a bill that I'm sorry to say is going to cut federal funding for highways to any states that are issuing driver's licenses to illegal aliens. These are people that do not speak the language, and they're using the driver's license, which has nothing on it to discriminate that this person is illegal, to go and get CDL licenses. I've been going to truck stops around the district and asking the cashiers, how many of the truckers come in here that do not speak any English? And the answer has been almost uniform. They tell me almost all of them speak no English. And this J.B. Pritzker is a danger. He is a threat to the citizens of Illinois, and he's making us pay in lives, in safety and security, and in tax dollars. Well, they care about power and they care about money, but the money gives them the power to implement their agenda. And what we're saying is you have to get in line with this, particularly federal laws, or we are going to withhold federal funding. So, that's the pressure that we're going to put on J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats in Illinois.
And that's Congresswoman Mary Miller in a conversation we had live with her yesterday about federal funding and parental rights and some other issues as well, but just about the federal funding side of this. And while she calls Pritzker a failure, you've got Pritzker saying that Trump's a cheater, he's a failure, he's a convicted felon, and carries on with other negative comments on the president. So obviously that's kind of where we're at in this political debate. But we're going to bring it to you each and every weekday morning, and especially how you, the taxpayer, are impacted by federal tax dollars going to be used to change state policy and what that could mean for a state like Illinois. Because, listen, even the Trump administration is looking at withholding federal funds from states that have cashless bail or jurisdictions that have cashless bail, and Illinois being the first state to implement that statewide, where we don't have cash bail in the state of Illinois. Illinois could be out more federal funding if it still has that policy in place. So obviously something we're going to continue to watch, because your tax dollars are at stake here. You are, paying taxes to the federal government, and how those tax dollars should be used. That's the debate happening in Congress. All right, Illinois in Focus Daily. Get this podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Wake up with us here on YouTube for the live show, or get the segments at the Center Square on YouTube. But you can also get the headlines. Go to thecentersquare.com and sign up for that newsletter each and every weekday morning. We send that out. It's Illinois in Focus Daily.